Hi, welcome to The Big Twist, a podcast where we interview other creatives about the big plot twists that have shaped their creative lives.
We're so excited to have our guest here today, Taylor Coffman. Taylor is an actor, writer, producer, patient advocate, mom, and anything else. Taylor, we're so excited you're here. We'd love to hear what else you want to offer the audience.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, you could add blogger because I'm always on Substack writing Rare Disease Girl. That's my Substack if you want to come and say hi. I'm spending a lot of time there, probably dropping content about twice a week. So it's
that's
busy.
amazing.
Yeah.
You write a lot.
Yes.
What's the time commitment on that?
Large. But honestly, it's definitely a joyful experience for me. And I started writing, and we'll get into my story, but I started writing when I was on dialysis, actually. And so I started writing a book there. And then I realized how long it took to get a book into the world. It takes a really long time. It's a long baby to hold in. And so I started a Substack to sort of begin the process that was me just sharing my story and helping people learn all the things I learned the hard way.
I can't wait to hear more about this. So let's jump into that. Let's you want to give us a little bit of your background of a very clearly talented, multi-hyphenated creative.
Who wound up being on dialysis.
Yes. Do you want to get into a little bit of like your background of like where you started in? Like, were you an actor first? Were you?
Yeah. I definitely went to college, theater major, bright-eyed young actress back in the day. I started acting professionally when I was in college because I looked fairly young, so I would play the 14-year-old in the Ibsen play, or I was pretty young looking, even though I was older, and so they could hire me, and I was above 18. And then starry-eyed came to LA. Had a lot of friends lived out here, and so one of my first gigs, I worked in TV production, and then also was an actor. I did 3 episodes of Silicon Valley and a couple episodes of Life in Pieces, and just a lot of mostly comedy for some reason. Even though I always trained in both, and then
that's great.
I found myself wanting to have a real 9 to 5. TV production is incredibly, as you all know, long days. I wanted to have a dog and a boyfriend and
a life.
Yeah, I wanted to have a life.
I love the order: a dog and a boyfriend. in that order.
Exactly. I realized everybody on set dated each other, and it was because it was nightly television. And I was like, I have got to get out into the world.
What were your hours like back then?
At the longest, I was what they call a clip researcher. So in a nightly show, they often use things that happened on television, and they would take it and cut it and make it into a joke. So it was my job. I would get up at 5 a.m. to get into the studio at 6 a.m. because the East Coast was already happening. All the morning shows were already going. So I had to watch every morning show and basically pull clips from the news essentially. And then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we had a rehearsal. And so it was, and then the show taped at 7. And then, you don't get home sometimes until 10. So you have no real day sunlight.
Getting up at 5.
5 in the morning to 10 p.m. at night.
Oh my God. Is this when you were on Kimmel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're on Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah. Okay. So and they record most 4 nights a week with a rerun on Fridays. So it was at the time it was very, very, it was very fun, very exciting, but it was all encompassing. So I eventually left and got a job at the local NPR station, and have been working in basically audio media and then podcasting, and that's my day gig today is actually podcasting. So this feels right at home. Except I'm normally the one over there.
Yeah, well, we'll take any tips. We love it. And that's
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say that's how we met our friend, mutual friend Levi Petrie. You worked with him at the radio station, right?
I hired him.
You hired him?
Yes.
I don't know if I realized that, or if I remember that.
Yeah, I liked hiring. I was a big fan of hiring actors for customer service and reception jobs, because actors are naturally empathetic. And I found them to be really great customer service kind of roles because they could talk to people and empathize and be kind. But they also had like another thing in their life that they were passionate about. So this job wasn't the be all end all of their identity, which I found to be really valuable in a customer service job because customer service fatigue is real. So
that's really smart. That's a great leadership skill of like recognizing as a manager and a hiring manager that it was a great idea to hire people that this is not their end all be all job.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
I bet Levi was wonderful at that.
I think people don't do that enough, actually. Just realizing like this job is like should not be someone's goal. Like there are just jobs that exist that are like, you need someone to fill this job that's not their life, that their life exists outside of it. Because there are just some jobs that are like hard and not fun. And often customer service jobs are those jobs because you're dealing with 90% of what people are calling about is a problem. And just to spend an entire day solving problems, listening to angry people, like that cannot be your identity, you know? So anyways, this is just for hiring managers out there.
No, it's great. You should be more bosses.
But yes, that's what I did while I did art because I felt like that was something I related to, or like if I had something outside of my job that wasn't my identity, it made me actually a happier worker. And I was also more loyal to the job because the job made space for the passions that I had. You know.
And can I just add to that to me, I've heard of so many showrunners in this industry that feel like they need to assemble writers' rooms in which writers have a work-life balance and have a life outside of the room. And those tend to be the showrunners that people will, you know, go to bat for and will die to be in that room. That the person that will say, we're going to be here from 10 until 3 because then, you know, I have to go see my kids. Right. So I do think that there's something to be said about even in the most demanding jobs in this industry, people in positions of leadership look for those that have a life outside of work.
It fosters a ton of loyalty.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't hear that very often, though, about writers' room. So is that like a newer thing that feels like...
I just know of like, you know, the showrunner of The Pit. I went to a panel with him and their room ends at, I think it was something like 2 p.m.
Whoa.
I think they go like 10 to 2.
Wow.
The showrunner of Handmaid's Tale, same thing. He looks for work-life balance. I've just heard a bunch of different stories throughout the years. Yeah. And it might be different like with sitcoms or like an SNL sketch show where you're, I don't know, faced against that deadline. And if a joke isn't working, you have to keep reworking it or whatnot. But I have found that there's a lot of drama rooms for, you know, where that's the case. Yeah.
It's interesting that you brought up The Pit because to sort of segue into, I had a major medical experience that, I guess, twist alert, is one of my big twists for sure. And watching The Pit was fascinating, especially with my husband, because my husband would be like, "They did that on you," you know, and like things like that.
Wait, what episode is that?
Several, actually.
Wow.
Because I had to have a high stakes resuscitation. You know, it was. So,
do you want to tell us a little about?
So I'll go back. So I'll step back to the point that there just becomes a point in a woman's life sometimes with her husband where they decide it's time to, after the dog, have a child. And you know, I had a very what I would call like normal pregnancy, like for all the realities of normal pregnancy, which is never easy, but nothing flagged. And then when I gave birth, it awoke a rare disease, a very violent rare disease.
Awoke a disease. So a disease that was dormant in your body.
Or it triggered it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to... the science of the beginning is hard to nail down. Like, they don't really know.
Okay.
But it awoke it. It triggered it in my body. And to do the quick biology lesson, they did not really know what was happening at the time. But what was happening was this disease activated a system in my body that I didn't know exist. So here's your biology lesson. You have a system in your body called the complement system.
The complement?
Yeah, it complements the immune system. It's like, I sort of liken it to like a football offensive line. When you have a bacteria that enters your body, it like tackles it and neutralizes it. It's very helpful in most bodies, but for some reason in mine, there's referees on this little squad, and they just stopped working all of a sudden. And so this offensive line started attacking the coach and the fans and the people selling popcorn. And so essentially that led to kidney failure, a heart attack, pulmonary embolism.
Oh my gosh.
Clots all over my organs, clots all inside my kidneys, and then a clot in my heart, and then like just a complete all systems failure. Like,
Whoa.
That is insane.
like it was, and it happened very fast. It was pretty, like it just like awoke and just wreaked a ton of havoc. And my doctors, like essentially I gave birth, C-section. You know, the baby comes out, and I say the baby because we didn't know it was a boy or girl. They were like, it's a girl, and which was very exciting. So I don't even get to see her, right? Because there's this curtain, and they take her over to the corner, and Zach cuts the cord, and they
Zach is your husband?
Yeah, Zach's my husband, and and I remember they were like, we want to check her out because she was sunny side up, which is a little backwards. So they had to make sure that she was.
I don't think I've heard that term of a baby.
Yeah,
Sunny side up is.
They're supposed to face like sort of forward, but she was backwards. So they wanted to check to make sure she was okay.
Ooh.
So I didn't even get to see her, and I'm sitting like laying down, very tired, very very tired. And I remember this nurse was sort of monitoring me, but she was typing on the computer. And I started to like make the alarms go off. And then she gets up casually and she was like, well, they're very sensitive. And she just turns them off. And then she goes and sits back down.
Oh, that gave me chills.
And I'm just like starting to fall asleep. Like that's all I'm feeling is just tired. And then they go off again. And I just remember like seeing her face go from like, you know, basically like no big deal to just white panic. And then I was like rushed by the entire medical team. They were able to, and this is on the pit actually, they were able to scan my abdomen with what almost looks like an iPhone almost. And they immediately, I just remember like grabbing my husband's hand and just saying, I love you. And they immediately wheel me into what became like an all-night attempt to save my life. It was,
wow.
I mean, I had like no brain reflex. Like it was.
That is insane. I mean, to put it in perspective for people, I've had 2 blood clots. Each time the doctor freaked out. It's like, this blood clot could like go to your heart and, you know, give you a heart attack. And that's just one thing you mentioned out of like 7, 10 things that happened to you at once.
Yes.
So your body was in complete shock.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, at first they thought it was some kind of shock and they couldn't find the source of the bleeding. One aspect of the disease, which is particularly cruel, is it both causes clots and it like neutralizes platelets. So if your platelets go down, it's both like a clotting and bleeding disorder simultaneously.
Wow.
So
and this happened immediately upon giving birth.
Yes.
All of this just
started. It was like a cascade. I mean, my doctor, God bless her, she was very frank with me when she saw me again. She was like, I had to take 3 days off after. She was like, I literally had to call my mom. Like it was that intense. But they didn't give up and I didn't give up.
What was the order that things happened in? Like, was it first clotting, then heart failure?
Yes.
Then lungs?
Yeah. It just, but some stuff they didn't even realize until I had time to get scans.
Wow.
Right? Because it was like they were just like, just keep her alive. And I was like alive barely. on a ventilator, you know. And I wasn't waking up from anesthesia either, which was tough. And I did have, and this is where I get kind of woo-wooed. Like I remember having like an out of body experience. Like I remember seeing myself being like worked on by the team.
Whoa.
And this is like the only part that I really, really remember so vividly is like, I don't think I was like at all scared. Like I did not feel fear. The only concern I had was actually for Zach. Like I remember just vividly thinking like, oh, I wish I had like a cell phone in the liminal space between like, and so I could tell him, because for some reason I just knew this intuitively. I just was like, I just want to be able to tell him it's going to be a while. Like I somehow
Whoa.
knew.
Whoa.
And it was just this very bizarre, like it felt like the only way I can describe it to you is it felt like I was, if you were imagined to be in a busy airport, that feeling of people coming and going, if you were to close your eyes and feel that movement and energy, like that's what it felt like around me. And I was just like staring at them all around me on the hospital bed.
And just to be clear, it's like you're laying there with your eyes closed.
Oh yeah, over there, and
but
I'm
you
standing.
can still see.
But
so
I was
you
like,
see your body.
yeah,
and
yeah,
you see everyone else around you,
Yeah.
and you can't talk to them.
No.
And you feel totally helpless.
No, and I'm wishing I had my cell phone
That's
so I could text my
This is
husband.
fascinating.
Wow.
And then the next thing I really remember was actually being in my body but unable to wake up.
Hmm.
That was really, really tough. I was sort of just stuck. And at one point I realized I could move my toes. And so I tried to signal to the medical team that I was like there. Like the international sign if I'm stuck in my body is wiggling your toes, right?
So you could hear.
Oh, yeah,
Were you,
yeah,
so then
yeah.
this is another phase where you
Yes.
actually were aware of what was going on, but
Yes.
you couldn't let anybody know.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember
Ooh.
hearing them say like, she's having a seizure. And I remember thinking like, no, this is just me just trying to say hi from inside
Oh
here.
my goodness.
And it's on my chart because then they thought I was having seizures activity
wow.
because I was like trying to wake up, trying to signal that I was there.
And in the meantime, your baby is in the hospital. Zach is in the hospital
Yeah.
with the baby.
No,
Or-
Zach at first is just wandering the halls, wondering where we're both at
Whoa.
because he didn't know where anybody was because it was so high stakes that no one was like really in the middle of the night too. This is like 1 a.m. Like he had no idea where either of us were.
Because they're just they're doing everything they can to try to save your life. So no
Yeah.
one's communicating to
No one's
him.
communicating.
And the baby is
that
off.
and it was like a really long attempt to save me. So there was like no update, you know, it was really scary.
They
I mean,
couldn't say anything to him because they had nothing to say.
That's
It's like
right.
The
That's right.
focus was on you and saving you.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, poor Zach.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I
horrible.
often think about him driving home from the hospital because he ended up driving home alone.
Oh my God.
You know, he went to the hospital with his wife to have a baby and he drives home alone. You know,
It's heartbreaking.
It's so hard. But he did get to meet our little one July 1st because I was not awake yet. He did get to meet her. They actually had, because I had no room yet in the hospital, they met in the NICU in like, they gave him like, the only space they had for them to be alone was a little closet. So he met July for the first time, skin on skin. And they put a chair in a closet and he, you know, met her for the first time.
Aw.
Wow.
I know.
So you heard she was a girl.
Yeah.
You heard that before everything crashed. When was the next time you saw her?
That's really tough because it was days. It was days. I woke up, they got me off the ventilator. I was in the ICU. I would say I had her at 1 a.m. on a Thursday, and I didn't meet her until Saturday night.
Wow.
And that was like an excruciating amount of time. And when I met her, it was like the most beautiful experience of my life. And then 30 minutes later, they took her away, and I also didn't know if I'd ever see her again.
Oh my God,
That's
Taylor.
horrible.
It was like
Yeah.
it was like the scariest and the
Oh.
happiest moment, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was not. Yeah, but it was. I mean, truly, it was like It was really, really scary. It was really, really scary.
I'm sure. I can't even imagine. Like, I'm trying to imagine you, like, the phases. Like, because then now I'm jumping to, like, what was, how did you come out of all of this? How did the doctors understand at any point? Did they have one
Right.
thing they landed on that saved you? Is
Well,
there, like, what was this process?
I do call myself like the lucky unlucky because there were things along the way. I think, first of all, you know, I was lucky enough to have this baby in a great hospital. So they had the resources.
That's great. Do you want to say where you were?
At Cedars.
You were
Oh,
at Cedars.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cedars is
they really took care of me. And they basically called in like the hematologist version of their house. He's their house. And
Oh, like the house television show.
Yeah,
House
yeah,
doctor.
like
That took me a
that.
second. I was like,
Like
wait, we
that.
have house doctors? What's happening?
yeah, he's one of their houses. Luckily for me, he was checking his messages on a Saturday morning, you know, at breakfast or something, you know, at home, definitely off the clock. And he always says this is just not a disease that can wait till Monday. Like and luckily, like, this is where we get into luck. There's a treat. He was like, it might be this thing. And if it's this thing, she needs this one infusion drug immediately. It's like one of the, like, to give you some perspective, for in the rare disease landscape, only 5% of rare diseases have a treatment that's approved.
Wow.
And this is one of them. Now, they gave it to me, I want to say about 3 days after I gave birth. But so at this point, I'm on constant dialysis. My kidneys are in total failure. Like, I'm not allowed off the machine. You know, it's in my neck, like, constantly. It's bad. Like, and so I get this drug, but my body's been hit so badly that it tells this complement system to chill out. It tells it to, like, calm down, which it did, but it's also an incredibly immunocompromising drug. So I ended up getting pneumonia and severe sepsis.
Oh.
So
That's brutal.
So a week from having her, I ended up being in an induced coma. And, you know, Zach gets the call in the middle of the night. Like, my lungs have, by this point, I'm on my, like, third intubation. My lungs are failing. Like, everything, it's not good still. And in the middle of the night, they basically say, like, to Zach, like, we need you to prepare for the fact that she might not be coming home. And they gave me a timeout, they call it, to see if they can, like, get my body. Because they would take me out of the ICU and I just go back. They take me out and I go back. But luckily, I woke up from that coma. And
How long from the time that they put you in a coma to the time you woke up?
like about 3 days.
Okay.
So it wasn't like incredibly long, but it was definitely long enough that this is kind of a unique experience. I saw multiple. I at this point have like 20 doctors because the body's segmented in so many ways that there's different specialists for everything. So I have like this whole crew of folks, and I saw multiple of them cry when I woke up.
Wow.
Like I really had some
Tears of relief, I'm
yeah.
sure.
And just like some of them, like they were like, oh, you know, I was driving home and I had to come right back and heard you were taking a turn and come back and help you. And they
Wow.
were really fighting for me for sure.
Just went above and beyond.
Yeah.
Did
I-
you?
oh.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one question that came up for me as you're telling this harrowing story is, do you see a difference between your life before and after this happened? Because for me, I talk about this on the podcast. I've had cancer. I had to go through chemo. There is a distinct version of me before cancer and after cancer.
Oh yeah. I'm a completely different person. I mean, maybe not completely different, but like very different.
What are some of the ways in which it shaped your
I think
personality?
I see the world from a completely different lens. I do. I mean, this disease is, there's not a cure for it. So I will always have it until I find one. So every 8 weeks I get essentially what's similar to a maintenance chemo, like an infusion every 8 weeks to keep my body from murdering me. And so that's an ongoing process. My kidneys, you know, I was on dialysis and like nothing was working. And then I got a second opinion, got some of the best minds involved. And I was able to then get off dialysis. It's only 1 to 2% of people get off dialysis at this point, and in about 9 months without a new kidney. And then, now, gosh, she's almost 4. She'll be 4 in 2 months. And my kidney function now has gotten to where it's like a point away from normal. And so I sort of walk with a lot of more, a ton more gratitude for my healing, my survival, normalcy. I'm very grateful for normalcy. Before it was just like, how do I level up? Like I was just like living life, trying to level up.
Right? Hustle culture, trying to do our thing. And then you just realize, none
I
of
was
that
like,
matters.
all
really,
I
right?
wanted in the hospital, like the vision I had, like I just wanted to be on my couch, like watching HBO, like that's what I wanted. I wanted my couch, pizza, my family, and HBO. Like that's it.
Wow.
Whereas before, like those times were just like not times I appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
And then, I finally got home and then I could watch, pizza or eat pizza and watch Max and, like or whatever they would call it.
What was the show on Max?
Well, I just felt like, I feel like I'm trying to even remember what I was watching at the time. But it was just like,
anything.
that like normalcy of like being home and comfortable.
Sound that would turn up.
Yeah. Yes. I love that sound.
So that's a long time of every 8 weeks. So otherwise, have you run into any sort of issues in that time since you came home from the hospital, or has the 8-week system been working?
That's a good question. It does work, but I would say sometimes my labs, and by the way, I get like, my labs are like $1 million. Yeah, no joke. Because every time they're monitoring me, and they're also moderating the system.
Our healthcare system.
I know. Don't get me started on that. But
grateful for your doctors.
and this is another, to touch on your other question, like I'm now an advocate because this situation was very activating for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what we've discovered is this crew of football players, it's like they're all in the house. There's a lot of them in the house, but they're not breaking anything right now. So we have had to up my medication because they shouldn't be in the house. But, but right now they're just all seated. The house is full of them, but they're all seated. So I just try not to like worry about it too much.
Sure.
I have had to be back in the hospital for, because I had a C-section and they had to go in and out many times. So about 4 times. And I have terrible scar tissue now. So I had to go back. My scar tissue started cutting off my blood flow to my intestines. So that was a whole nother too exciting time at the hospital. About a year ago, actually, this week, essentially. I remember it was like just before Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's a major surgery.
Oh,
the
yeah.
C-section is a major surgery.
Yes.
Yeah. More women need to know that the scar tissue can be an issue for a lot of people, and for a lot of women later in life.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because it builds and builds and builds. Yeah.
It's no joke. It's like bands of like spider webs, basically, is what they look like. They're like tough spider webs, and sometimes they can just squeeze around your intestines, and it's miserable. It's miserable. So, I feel like I kind of live at the edge. There's that quote that, there's the kingdom of the sick and the kingdom of the well, and I kind of live like on a houseboat between them sometimes, where like I look pretty well a lot of the time, and I am, but I am not where I was. We talk about a major infusion. There are side effects and challenges that come with that. There's, I don't have the energy I once had, and I know there's typical aging, but I feel like I aged like 20 years
sure.
in the span of a year.
Well, wow. And I mean, maybe this isn't an appropriate question. You can tell me if you don't want to answer this, but like, I'm just curious, like how do you find your peace living in this limbo between those two kingdoms? Not totally limbo. You said you feel like you live on the edge of the one.
Yeah.
But what do you do for your mental health?
Oh, I had like a twice a week therapist for a while.
Okay. Wow.
Twice, and you never want to be a twice a weeker, but if you have maxed out your insurance and it's free, like, I mean, that was an incredible necessity. And I think there's something, and I don't know what this is about me. I feel grateful for it. I feel like I don't own it. I don't know why that feels accurate, but it's true. I just have this like post-traumatic growth that happened after these experiences. And I absolutely had PTSD 1000%, but the growth that I had after it felt very I just felt massive for me as a human. And I sort of joke that sometimes I think I was sent back. Like, we're going to send you back, girl, but we're going to give you an assignment. And so I work a lot for patient advocacy and empowerment. I remember the frustrating reality. So and I'll come back to the question in a minute, but when I came back to work, I started working when I was on dialysis. I started working part-time.
Taylor,
how? Is it a
Because
remote job? Like,
I just wanted to go back to my life.
Oh, sure.
So fast. I
Yeah.
just
That's a way
wanted to do
find
that.
back in.
Yeah.
I wanted to find my identity again. And so I went back to work. And then I was back to work full time about 2 months after I got off of dialysis.
And can I just say, actually, I can relate to that too. I worked through chemo
Yeah.
in a writer's room.
Yeah,
You did.
you're
I
like,
would like mute my camera when I was like,
it's not like your goals
getting chemo.
automatically change right
Yeah,
away.
no.
You're trying to figure out what and who you are.
And you don't want to lose you don't want to lose your identity to the disease.
Right.
Like, the thing that was very important to me is I didn't want to be reduced to cancer patient and only cancer patient. I am so much more than that, right?
Right.
And I do think that when you're in a hospital as much as you were, right, when everyone around you is always talking to you about how are you, is everything okay? They all want to know, like, health-wise, are you okay? You need distractions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then the really like challenging part, because at that point I had been, basically not working full time for about it was like a year. I went to have a baby and then I 9 months of dialysis and then back full time finally in December. But then 6 months later, they laid me off.
Oh.
And I just remember that was also a big twist because I had worked there for 15 years.
Wow.
And where was this? What were you doing at the time?
This is when I was working at the public media station.
Okay, that's what okay.
And I just remember just being like, this was like the next sort of twist. Because I just was like, I want to just go back to producing and just be like, go back to this place that felt safe, had health insurance. And, now at the most unstable time in my life, there goes my job.
Wow.
And I had like to figure out like, okay, so I have this disease. I'm unemployed. Like, I'm very not easily employable, right?
You have a small child.
I have a small
also,
child.
Right? We still have a baby
Yes.
here.
And my husband, by the way, we love our artists, but he's a musician.
Oh, no.
There's not insurance there.
Yeah.
That's right.
And meanwhile, the bills are astronomical.
Oh my God. And
right?
so I was kind of I was the stable one, right? In the relationship. And that worked great. I liked it. I liked being the stable one. And now I'm incapable of being that. And I just had to sort of find a new path. In the meantime, though, I was writing, and a friend of mine, and actually two friends of mine who I'd previously worked with, they were like, your writing is amazing. There's something here, you should start to like extrovert this. And I remember she pitched me to, I feel like Huffington Post does these personals, and I just wrote one, and I kind of thought it would like, hide in the corner of the internet, and my mom would send it around, and it wound up being the #1 trending article on Apple News. Like millions of people read it
Incredible.
in a day.
Wow.
And this was just picked up from your Substack?
No,
or-
this was a Huffington Post article that I wrote.
Got it. So she
Yeah.
pitched you to Huffington. Huffington accepted the article.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
And then it
it blew up.
blew up.
Wow.
It has since been reposted again by Huffington Post as like best of personals. It's been picked up by BuzzFeed and Yahoo and AOL, and it was trending again like 2 weeks ago. And so
Oh.
it just was this like, I don't know if you believe in signs, but just this sign from the universe that like there's something in this story that is resonating with people and resonating in like a really big way. And I think a lot of what happened to me, a big turnaround in my care was me using my voice and becoming more empowered to be part of the process a bit. And that led to better outcomes in my care. Like everything turned around at that point. It was like when I came out of this coma, I had like no more. Are we allowed to swear on here?
We do.
We do.
I had like no more fucks to give. I was like dead, you know?
You
and
have earned swearing more,
I
more
was
than
just
anyone.
like, I was, and you can bleep me if you need to,
No.
but I was like, I don't have, I'm gonna be dead here if things don't change. So I started going back to, I had like 20 doctors. They were all geniuses, but geniuses aren't always the best communicators, and they needed a better system to communicate. And I had done project management and producing also and that. And I just was like, you all need to talk better with each other, because my chart would change in an hour and they wouldn't be caught up. And, you know, they had different ideas about, you know, whether or not it was this condition and whether it wasn't. There were people who disagreed. And I was like, you all need to get a plan. And after that, they had a better a text chain. They made a text chain. And it
That's
was
incredible.
and after that, they were able to coordinate my care better. Like I had this severe sepsis. So they were like, well, okay, we got to make sure she doesn't die of this infection first. So we have to stop this one drug because it's only making her worse. So we have to address the infection and then address the disease. But the coordination around my care was really more aligned, and I saw a lot of that felt like the path toward getting better. And then eventually,
and I love that you went to that. They went to that personalized place of let's start a group text, because as someone who has, you know, had some experience in this, they want to have everything be overly formal. So you have to check my chart for this hospital and then check my chart for this hospital. And it all has to be in this super secure system.
Yes.
So the fact that you managed to get them on a group text, you know, that's unheard of. Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, I was like, I don't care. Like, save me. Do what you need to do to save me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about that resiliency?
Yeah.
And just this, like, I'm just in awe. I don't know. I mean, obviously, clearly, I've never been in the situation, but I just can't imagine that every single person might have that kind of strength and fortitude and just be able to say, this is it. And I have to do what I need to do for myself. And
yeah. And honestly, I didn't have it either at first. I mean, I don't know what came over me. I just was like, I have to get home to my baby. I cannot die here. And, you know, there were times where I found that I was always very polite. You know, that's kind of just me. Like I remember in the prep doc, you were like, tell a story about like what was encapsulating your personality. And
yeah,
I just
we love that.
And like my girlfriends, there's like 2 quick stories that like
Yeah,
I would
please.
say would do that. So one was this time when I was driving back to Kimmel, and this naked woman jumped on my car while I was driving. And she's completely naked, like completely naked, and clearly high in some respects.
Oh, yeah.
And then she starts like making out with my windshield. So
Okay.
she's fully sexually assaulting my car.
Okay.
And I just like I have to get back production. I was actually on the episode that night, and I just rolled down my window just like a little because she's a wild card. And I just was like, "Excuse me, I'm late for work. Do you mind getting off my car now?" And she just like hops off and then wanders down the street.
She was very politely
Wow.
asked her to stop
In
doing
stressful
this.
situations.
Make
to
out with
stop
another
having
car,
sex with your
please?
car.
Yes.
And she did. She
Yes,
stopped.
and she did, and she listened. I'm just like, under stress, I'm incredibly polite still, but very direct.
Wow.
Because there was another story too that
Yeah,
they always
please.
continually laugh about. Because when I moved into my new apartment, my husband was on tour. I moved in without him there, and I thought I had a ghost at first. Turns out it was mice. So there was like mice in the apartment.
Oh my goodness.
And in the middle of the night, it was so bad at one point, I thought I could just shut my door and be rid of them and deal with it in the morning. But one hopped on my nightstand.
Oh no. Oh no.
And so I like grab
gross.
my bag, get in the car, and it's like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my
and I
God.
send this text to like all my
I'm not
girlfriends.
breathing.
And I was like, so they laugh at me. They like resend it to me sometimes. They're like, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother everyone. If anyone happens to be up, I'd truly appreciate it if I could come to your house and stay the night. If not, that's okay. Sorry to bother anyone if this wakes you. I'll be sleeping in my car.
My
Oh my
apartment
God.
is
I'll be
riddled
asleep
with
in my
mice.
car if anybody gets this. Oh my God.
But just like under pressure, I am
Amazing.
incredibly polite.
And that's a rarity.
Wild. Yeah. That's amazing.
A lot of us. I
Yes.
mean,
That is not me.
I would say that's not me either. I can. Once you push me to past a certain point, it's so hard to stay polite. That is something I'm working on, actually.
Are you?
It's great. I mean, it's admirable that
Right.
you. That is exactly what you look for in a patient advocate, right?
Right.
Someone that can be that
Right.
beacon of like, perfect rationality
Yeah,
and
yeah.
voice.
I tell
in
it like it is,
stressful
but I
times.
will be polite. But I will tell it like it is.
But you're
Like,
still this way, and
Yeah,
you still
yeah.
okay.
But I'm probably more direct about it. But I do remember like there was one, they were like debating taking me out of the ICU because I was pretty alert when I was awake. Like in my chart, it like says she's telling jokes and blah blah blah. I was gonna say like
This is amazing.
like I will almost be dead in telling jokes. Like that is just who I am. And it doesn't mean that I'm any better. I'm just I'm Irish. Like what am I gonna do? and so they were like debating just putting me back on the floor. And I remember this one doctor came in and I just was like, with all due respect, I really, really like you. But if I go to the floor and wind back up on a ventilator, I'm going to blame you. And God bless him, he was the one to be like, she gets another night in here. But I was like, with all due respect, I really, really like you, but I will blame you if I'm on a ventilator again because I don't think I should go on the floor yet. I need more monitoring,
Yeah, like what Anna was saying, the strength and knowing your body at that point
Yeah.
to be able to say, this isn't right.
Right.
This doesn't feel right. My grandma just had a health scare,
Yeah.
and she had her appendix rupture inside of her at the age of 84
Oh my
years
God.
old. And they went to the doctor. They went to the hospital when she was still started feeling bad, and they turned her away with some. They were like, "Oh, it's just a stomach ache," and then it ruptured.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times,
Yes.
in your body there's
Yes.
something wrong, and doctors are not listening.
Right.
And that's why that's where you need to put on your stern but polite hat,
Yeah.
and just be like, no, there's still something wrong.
Right. I'm going to politely say that I will blame you and I will come for you.
Yeah.
If,
It's fantastic. Is this part of your advocacy work with patients? Do you help them
Yeah.
speak up for themselves?
Yeah, I mean,
and try to find that. If
I
they
definitely
can't?
give talks and speeches. I think, one of the ways I put it is that you have to be a charming squeaky wheel because the minute you become not charming, the minute you become like too annoying, like bias happens. They just like don't want to help you.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Can you give me
wow.
an example of being a charming squeaky wheel?
Well,
how that-
Well, like there's definitely times where, for example, unfortunately, I deal with a lot of what's called prior authorizations. And that's when insurance wants to basically deny the drug or delay it because it's one of the most expensive. I'm very expensive as a patient. So it's one of the most expensive drugs on the market. I want to say it's about, I feel like for some patients, if their insurance doesn't negotiate it well enough, it'll be like $300,000 every 8 weeks. like insurance companies have insurance for people like me.
Insane.
Insane. It's an orphan
Wow.
drug, so they get the permission to charge a lot to make it financially worthwhile to produce it, because otherwise there's not enough patients to make it a financially wise decision to produce such a drug.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so anyways, the insurance company hates it. They hate this drug. It's
I'm
not even
sure.
on the list
Sure
in
they
most insurers. It's like a non-formulary. So they'll just be like, nope, we need reapprovals. And my doctors, you know, it's really annoying that they have to like do this every time. So I'm often like literally bugging my doctors to take care of this in a timely fashion. It can be challenging because it's a lot of paperwork, and it happens sometimes like last year it was like every 8 weeks.
Ugh.
And I am at the level of patient where I have ability to text my doctor. And you only get that if you're not actually like annoying. So, but there's times where they're like not getting back to me, and like having to just be like, hi, I know, like being like, I know this is like my 5th message to you. I totally get that. I really apologize, but like I'm going to need this now, so it ships by this time because I got to go to Mexico, so it can't come later than Thursday. You know, like, you know.
Taylor, your patience is insane. I can't even like, our medical system is so insane, and you're being so nice about this care that you have to not die, and you're being so, oh my God, I just want to like, I don't even know what I want to do.
Well, I'm so curious about how did you get insurance, right? Because I mean, is it something where there were biases where the insurance companies didn't want to insure you after this?
Oh, I'm sure, but
death?
that's why the ACA is an incredible thing. I think
They can't do that anymore, right?
Yeah.
they can't deny me anymore now. Knock on wood that doesn't change, because I would be in big trouble.
An ACA, Affordable Care Act.
Yes,
just for people.
yeah,
to,
the Affordable Care Act. So I was able through Obamacare to just sign up for another insurer, and they have to take you. But it is like not a great system, you know. Like technically, my copay for my drug, it's so expensive, but the copay every 8 weeks is like $8,000, and because it's not included in the list, so it's like. So I use financial aid options to help me pay for the copay. And then I use financial aid to help me pay for the premiums because, and like our family, like, and I always say this, you got to get creative, unfortunately, in the systems that exist. Like just because you have a family, that doesn't mean you should sign up for a family plan, because my care is very different from what Zach needs and what July needs. So we have 3 separate healthcare systems in our house. I have the more expensive care. He's got an HMO. He likes his doctors. It's worked fine for him. He doesn't have major medical needs. And July, luckily in California here, she gets free healthcare. So, yeah, I don't know when this comes out. If it comes out during open enrollment, but essentially, like children can get free healthcare in California up to really high income amounts. Like
I did not know that.
It's
Wow.
very supportive of children getting care. So.
That is great for artists to know. With kids.
Yeah. I feel like it's maybe even up to $80K. Like you can get free healthcare for your kid. So
That's really
so
helpful.
anyways, like, I think it's like you sometimes have to think outside the box to make it more affordable. And we do. And I try to share that knowledge with others, because you don't automatically, no one like holds your hand through being sick. And the thing that makes me sort of insane is this idea that patients are like a subset of citizens or humanity. Like, and the thing I try to like get through to people is that everyone will be a patient. Everyone. Some people have more acute care than others, but like everyone is a patient. And it's like, and even if you're
At
not
some
one
point.
now, you are gonna be.
Yeah.
So like I really am someone who is like trying to wake people up to this, because if we don't start taking care of patients, we're not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, it's very, very true.
We have to take care of each other better.
That's beautiful.
And our systems don't seem to be very set up for that. I have a friend who has a chronic illness that woke me up to that a long time ago too.
Yeah.
Of just like, God, what was the term she used? We're all like, I'm not going to come up with it. It was something like temporarily able-bodied.
Yeah.
Like something along those lines, if that wasn't it exactly. So I did come up with it.
It's true.
Of like, we all will at some point. But I'm just so impressed. I can't even. And the creativity part, like, I don't know, maybe this is a terrible correlation to make, but I just, as you were talking about, when you said we have to get creative within the systems that we live in, that is really sticking with me. And my brain is going to a lot of different systems we live in where we need to get creative. And I just wonder if like being a creative person and having to like find different ways to manage your life before all of this was maybe somehow helpful.
Absolutely.
In managing it after.
It's funny because I'm also, in my advocacy, I do speaking work and that is totally like, I'm a theater major. Get me up there and do a monologue.
Right?
Like,
Yeah. Get a performance.
My stage presence is like very, it's on a different level because, I just, God bless it. I was just at a conference and like so many of these people speaking are doctors and they just like don't have it. They're very
eye
fascinating.
contact, reading cards.
They're great. They're great, but they don't have the storytelling background.
Right.
They're trying it on, but their presence is off. They're like reading, I like take the mic and get down in this.
I would love for you to do a TED talk.
Oh my God, I would love to do a TED talk.
I'm putting it out into the universe.
Yeah, you do a great one.
Please.
I'm so curious about how all of these experiences you've had health-wise, how have they informed your creative output, the stuff that you put out into the world, and how are you meeting the moment now with everything you've learned throughout this
totally
harrowing experience?
I think it there's that term verticals. Like I have different verticals of outlets, I would call them. I have my writing and, when, again, I mentioned being on dialysis, I started writing I got the vision for a book when I was on dialysis, and that led to the Substack, which was my way of like communicating faster because trying to get a book out is like, if you're not self-publishing, it is like a whole thing. It's like my husband goes, way to go from trying to be an actor to trying to be a published author. It's like, can you pick a goal that's not incredibly hard, please? It's like 1% to 2% of new authors get published.
Wow.
Or they, through that process.
Really small percentage.
It's very small, especially traditionally. So, but I just wrote the book. Like I had an agent tell me early on when I was just sort of like because I was asking around, she was a lit agent. She was like, you have to write the book. They have to know that you can write. And so I just was like, I'm going to write the book. And, and I almost didn't even think I could write a book, but it actually was a really enjoyable experience. I loved writing.
What's the subject matter? You detail everything you went through.
So it's my story, but it's also like, it goes through the hospital experience to sort of coming out of that and sort of finding myself. But I would say that it's not inspiration porn so much as it's like, it's just a very, I'm sure there's inspirational parts, of course, but I would say it's actually really also practical tools also along the way. Like it's like the things I learned the hard way, like how to be an empowered patient, how to, sort of navigate this experience, because no one prepares you for that, or even to be a caregiver either. Like both of those are roles that we just sort of find ourselves in and have to figure it out like while we're doing it in our most stressful moments. So I wrote this book because I wish it was the book I wish I could have had through this experience. But I also, because look, when you're really, really sick, you don't always want to like read a book. So I wrote it very specifically to be an easy read, and it's funny. Like I very much wanted it to be like as funny as you could make like a terrible disease flare. But essentially that was a really important part of my vision for the book, was that it would be easy for someone to read when they were sick. I didn't want it to be incredibly like dense and stressful. Like my agent, when she got it, she said I knew in 3 pages. She was like, this is something different.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
She was like, I read 30 and I called you. Essentially,
Wow.
is what she said.
Can you walk us through the process of how you landed your agent? Because that's very hard to do.
Yes.
Publishing a book.
It's incredibly hard. For me as a new writer, I think what did help is I had the book written, first of all. Like, it wasn't like a theoretical thing. Like, it was pretty much done. And I got it professionally edited before I submitted it to people. So the quality, I knew, even though I was deeply insecure, and I had some beta readers before I started submitting it. So like I knew I had something that people responded to. And then I started submitting it. When I used the MS wish list, the manuscript wish list, if anyone, I did not know this existed.
Know this.
This is why you have to learn a whole new industry. But they basically, agents will sometimes ask or put out what they're looking for, and as far as genre. So that way you're not like cold sending it to people that don't want it. Like I had a few people who were like, I have a book agent, you could send it to them, blah, 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 blah. And I found my agent because she was like looking for memoir. She was looking for this kind of thing. And so, yeah, so basically she said she just, because you send the first few pages and she was
So it's a cold query.
Yeah, it was a cold query.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I mean, it's usually easier to get an agent if an author of theirs refers you to their agent.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it helped that it is like, it's not your typical medical memoir. It does have she was like, I just felt like you were my friend from like the get-go. And that was also something I wanted the reader to feel. Like I'm talking very warmly to them. You know, you're sort of in the experience with me, but I'm also like constantly being like, I do make it out, by the way, you know. Like, but I have had friends that read it that were like initially like, if I didn't already know you, I'd still be like really, really worried for you. And I like know you. And I was like, they're like, it is a page turner. Like it reads really fast. And I think, you know, and I'm hopeful, like this year has been, and this is the part I didn't know either, actually. So they have like the big 5 publishers. For anyone who's thinking about writing a book, this is something that I guess is very internal, but they only let you submit to 1 editor each at a time. So I remember like early on, she would give me submission reports, and I was like, I remember just being like, well, why are you sending it to like 20 people? Like that seems like a no-brainer. Like why don't you just send this to like 20 editors at a time? Because she would just 5 and then a couple, like 2 more. And she was like, I'm not allowed to pitch again until I get a no from that publishing house.
Wow.
So it was like, so it's a really, really, I sort of noted this earlier. It's kind of an excruciating process because
Takes a while.
It is so slow. I did just get to acquisitions at a place like 2 weeks ago. The editor loved it, but he has to get unanimous like approval, and like someone held out, like someone didn't like it.
We're so close.
I know.
That person.
I
I'll
know.
find them.
Wait, so what is acquisitions level approval? So like how many steps have you gotten
that's
through?
like basically almost there. That's like the last level before you get sent, like before they figure out the budget and they send it to you. So it had gotten through.
So editor had said yes.
Yes.
Who else had said yes at that point? So agent obviously sent it out to editor.
Yeah. And the editor was basically, at this place, it was the senior editor. So your odds of getting through are also better if it's the senior editor, because they're the ones that like, he was the senior acquisitions editor. But just they have to be like the owner of the company has to approve, like the heads of marketing, like everyone has to like have full consensus, and I just did not have it. It was and it was very sweet. I got like the nicest letter back from the editor being like, this is our loss, we're idiots. And he didn't say that they were idiots, I should say. But he said it was our loss, and he was like, I'm a new fan, and you know,
that's great.
So I do feel like, and actually he was like, let us know if if when you're doing an audiobook, circle back with us. And I was like,
You have a great audio voice, by the way.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I would listen to that book and read it.
Well, and obviously it's a great book. It's
Yeah.
going to find a home. It's
That's-
going to,
that's what I
it's
hope.
going to get
Yeah.
out, and it's going to, you're a talented writer, obviously,
you.
clearly. And, it's a great book.
Yeah, I think that that's the part that feels good. It's like whether or not there's probably a lot of great books out there that just didn't sell for whatever reason. They just don't deem it as something that they think the world. And this is why, please follow me on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Like, they do care about your following. And that is a thing that kind of is somewhat excruciating, is like I feel like I have to do a lot of social media to build a following. I try to make things that I think people will enjoy. Rosie O'Donnell's a follower, so be like
Fantastic.
Rosie, come join me.
That's great.
I talk a lot about, I basically take a lot of the themes that are in the book and what I talk about in my speeches and things like that in Substack and put it in there too, like empowerment, ways to save money on medical expenses. Just a lot of those like tips and things that I've learned along the way. I try to share that. And, I do share probably more of my family life than some others do. I think for some, a lot of people don't share their children on the internet, and I totally respect that. But the seal was already like kind of off her image really early, because Zach was sharing so much about my recovery, and she's in all the photos. And I feel like so many people rallied to support us. Like, the village really showed up for us. It's incredible, the amount of people that helped us. And so she's sort of beloved by like so many that we do like, and until she gets old enough to decide that she doesn't want to be, but I do share our lives. Because I also want to say that, I think that there is a lot of bias around what life looks like for someone who has illness, someone that has gone through this. Like, I remember one powerful image that a lot of other patients would message me about. I had this port came out of my chest for dialysis for about 9 months, and you're not allowed to get it wet. And you're really like, I couldn't take a shower, like for like a normal shower, for over 9 months at that point. And so, but like I went to Yosemite and I went to the beach and I would just like cover it, but I wouldn't like hide it. Like, it was, there's pictures of me in my bathing suit with this big like plastic thing covering my port. And I'm just like living my life. And I think not every sick person can achieve that level of activity, but I wanted to say that there's a spectrum. It is a spectrum of ability. And I was able to I was able to go to the beach. I was able to have, I don't want to say normalcy because I had this giant port coming out of my chest, but I was able to have this life that was fulfilling despite where I was in my health, despite having completely failed kidneys. Like, so I think it's important for people to see illness as a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I think
For sure.
for me, it really concerned me too because we had been so public, and then I was unemployed. And there's a true challenge when someone can Google you and see that you have a rare chronic illness. Like, people wonder, like, is she capable of these things?
Right. While you're trying to interview the interview
Yeah.
process, people can see this about
Yeah.
you.
And I
Mhm.
had career counselors who were like corporate jobs are probably not going to be available to you.
Well,
And so I've had to, kind of cobble together my creative skills and like what all the things that I've done since have been sort of amazing. Like, I can finally say, when I worked where I used to work, I would say, I wish one day I could just be an artist. And what's so strange is I kind of am now. Like, I produce podcasts to make money, and I write, and I sometimes make money writing. I do articles and stuff, and I even got paid commissioned to do a one-act play about my experience.
Wow.
I've gotten this, these opportunities to be an advocate and be on a stage with a mic talking about what happened to me. You know, these are very artistic things, and sometimes it's through the lens of advocacy, but you know, I am a like a living artist who's just doing that as a job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some months are better than others.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it feels very rewarding.
Do you feel like there was a
Mm.
fearlessness that entered your life after you went through this whole thing?
That's a really good question, because I think about this question a lot. I think it comes in stages.
Mm.
I think when you first come home from these situations, sometimes you're very afraid because you're like, oh God, I know how like fragile it all is. And then you get better, and then you're like, oh, I'm so resilient. Like I'm so strong, and like everything is wonderful. I'm just grateful for every day and every moment and everything. And then you get past that stage, and then you start getting afraid again. You're like, oh, because I've got to make sure I can live another 10 years and I don't go bankrupt, and I have enough money for my kid, and what am I going to do? And, you know, if I don't have a job in 6 months, and like there's like the stages of survival.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I would say like now I'm sometimes in that fearful stage. Like that's what I talk about with my therapist now. It's like, okay, I'm alive now. I'm not maybe going to die. Well, I'm maybe eventually, but like I could have longevity now. And like now there was a point in my recovery where my kidneys were at, I had about 15 years, you know?
Wow.
And when you're there, you're like,
Mm.
like for some reason though, like when that's your life, like it's sad because I would think about like my kid's age and how long my life expectancy was. And then that increases, and all of a sudden you're like scared for new reasons, because you're like, oh, now I might live till I'm 80 maybe. And I always say I'm very optimistic about science. Science is doing incredible things, and I think that's really exciting. And so I feel like I have a real shot, you know, at a
amazing.
long life, even though all of these terrible things happened. So yeah, now I feel like a normal person again, who's just like existential dread. Totally. But I will say this, I'm less
Wow.
afraid of dying.
Mm.
Like that is very true of this experience. Like I feel like
Wow.
I got a glimpse of just what it is to be at the edge of your existence.
Mhm.
And I would say all those times I was only scared when I was safer. Like when things were really, really bad and really, really scary, like at the worst moments, I was never actually afraid in those moments.
Mm.
And I don't know what that is, but there's something, I don't know if it's your brain or some like universal connectedness that like takes care of you. But like those moments were not the scary moments to me, you know?
Mm.
It was only when I was doing better that I got like scared of things.
Mm.
And so I think about like, you know, the times when I had hypoxia where your brain isn't getting enough oxygen, you know. I didn't feel pain, you know. One would think like, oh gosh, if you can't breathe to a certain point, like how scary that would be. And yeah, it's scary, but like something takes over. Like our bodies know how to take care of us.
And we tolerate pain more than we think
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
I remember the dread and the fear leading up to the 3 lumpectomies I
Yes.
had versus like the third time they did the incision. I was like, no problem. I don't even need general anesthesia. Like just do like, you know, local numbing. It's fine. Like
yeah.
you adapt to your tolerance for pain grows over
Right.
time. And I think you realize how resilient we truly are as a species.
Oh, yeah. I think it's something in us. Again, you know, the dread comes when you're actually doing better and you're worried about what's worse. But
Yeah, I was like, I can
Yes.
maybe sort of make sense of that.
but oddly,
Yeah.
It
when
makes a
it
little bit
was
of
really,
sense.
really bad, you know, there's something that I surrendered to, or something
Mm.
that it
Mhm.
just it wasn't scary.
Some instinct kicks in
Yeah.
and takes over.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to live. Like I felt like that
Mhm.
intention was always there for me. I felt like I was having a celestial dialogue, you know, with whatever superlunary beings exist. I was definitely just like, I'm not dying, by the way. Like there was a
Okay, we're
lot
ready.
of that. Like I am going home. Send me home. Like, but I felt, I came back also too weirdly, and this is where we get woo-woo again, with like, I just believe in a collective consciousness. And maybe I got a sense of it. Maybe I got like a download of it. But I just feel like there's something more to this experience.
Absolutely. I agree
And
with that.
I'm not like everyone was like, you gotta listen to telepathy tapes. Like,
Mm.
you know,
I've heard about that.
They're
it's
so
just-
good.
But it's like, but I do feel this sense of, I don't know what this is about. Like, I have some theories, but existence, life, like, why are we here? What are we doing?
Mhm.
But I absolutely felt like before this experience, I didn't have a purpose beyond my own ambition. And now what I want, what drives me, involves the betterment of everyone.
Mm.
And that is so clear to me. Like that hunger, that drive, that passion involves helping others. I always say this, I really want to help you save your own life.
Mm.
Like that's what I
That's
want for
beautiful.
you. And
Yeah.
and you know, that's not always possible, but I want to help you have the tools that you need to get the best care possible, to try to advocate and just, you know, at least have an experience that's better than the one that you're having. If you're like, I remember one patient was like, I didn't even know I could fire my doctor until you told me. And I was like,
Yeah, and you can go to multiple
Right.
doctors. I'll say the small
Yes.
thing. When I had my cancer diagnosis, I went to 5 different oncologists. One of them was a woman, and the woman was the only one who recommended that I essentially put my ovaries to sleep so that chemo wouldn't get to them
So
as
smart.
badly. And that's what I did. I took like this Lupron shot so that my ovaries shut down and I went into menopause. She's the only one that told me this. And thankfully, my body did not go into menopause afterwards, and I still have a period. And this is TMI,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
we're talking about health
No.
stuff. But, you know, it's like it's so important to get different opinions, right?
right.
Had I not gone to her, I wouldn't have done this, right?
Yes.
And then who knows where I would be with that.
Yes. I feel like there's a lot of tenets in getting good care. And I will say one of the biggest one is shared decision making.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel like when you go to a doctor that it's a conversation, not them monologuing at you.
Yeah.
You want to be part of that together so that if your buy-in is actually part of the experience, honestly, outcomes are better. And we see this with patients that compliance is better. You know, when you're able to say, like, for example, just like an easy example, like if you're stressed at your job, you may not be able to, you know, follow this regimen, you know, or maybe you can't make it to those appointments, you know, the way that's supposed to be because of some life issue. Maybe you're going through a divorce, you know, like all of these things matter in your healthcare. And I'm not saying tell your doctor everything, but I do think you have to make your doctor see you as a whole human being and not just a problem to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I do try to get people to tell doctors their goals too. Like if your goal is to walk your child down the aisle and you have an illness and you're not able to do that, like if your doctor knows that's a goal, like they can provide you with a care plan that might help you get there. I think that context is really important and it's motivating for any medical team.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Taylor, this is incredible. I love the work you're doing,
I'm
and I
trying.
appreciate you sharing all of this with us and our listeners. This is amazing. It's inspiring, and
I know. I feel like
thank you for what you're doing.
I'm trying. I will say I should give a shout out though to the disease name because awareness in this disease is actually incredibly important. So if anyone's on here or knows someone in the doctor space, the disease is called, now get ready, it's a whole thing, atypical hemolytic uremic syndrome, also known as complement-mediated thrombotic microangiopathy.
Wow.
I know.
You just blew my brain a little bit.
I know.
There's
It
the
needs
start of your TED Talk.
It needs
I feel like we can-
workshops.
It needs.
completely.
I was thinking that too. I was like, can we come up with something?
I've even written an article because they were like, the second name is the name that they talked about, and it actually has all these possible hyphens depending on. I was like, we need to get creative in the room here because this is not.
Let's get
not
creative
easy
within
to
the
remember.
systems
That's
that we're
right.
working in. Let's
That's
get creative. I think
right.
the second one was even longer than the first one. I feel like
I
the first one
know.
I might have been able to process a little bit better.
Yes, it's like picking a name or an acronym people can remember would be good.
Yeah,
Great idea.
acronym would be great.
You know,
like with mine, it's HER2 plus.
Yes,
Easy to remember.
Yes, I think, and also too, I think, not this might be too much for this podcast, but I think the breast cancer space has been really smart about having also like a human centered name, like they don't call it stage 4 cancer, they call it metastatic breast cancer, and there's something about that feels, I would say, very like, it's not as scary, if I can put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being like, I have stage 4 breast cancer. I mean, that's so scary. But saying metastatic, it sounds like just a chronic disease, right? Like, and it is now, right? They've figured out so many ways to help stage 4 cancer, especially breast cancer, people like have full lives with the advances, and hopefully more will come. But that's a very anyways, this is getting into a lot of
Yeah,
no, it's
and
great. They're doing such an
would say,
education.
actually,
This is something we need to talk more about, especially with the current state of our healthcare system.
Absolutely.
These are normal conversations I hope people can normalize more and more.
And the one thing I would say about that too is that what I saw in that space was that there's a huge sense of community.
Yes.
And there are those support groups that you can go to. And I don't know if other diseases have that as well developed, right? It's like finding those people that have the same disease that you have, and then to be able to go to them as a resource, that was immensely helpful to me.
Do you know anyone else?
Yeah, I do actually. There's a couple even here in LA.
Okay.
Actually, crazily, one lives in a building I used to live in Los Feliz.
Wow.
Interconnectedness.
I know. I know.
We're all connected.
It's crazy.
Collective consciousness, all of it.
But there are like a handful of people that have it. I think, we engage in spaces online, and there's a yearly conference, and I do, it was actually really powerful. I spoke at this last conference, and I was like, how many people found me on the internet before you found like your disease group? And it was like so many people raising their hands because I'm so busy being on TikTok talking.
You're so visible.
Yeah.
You're so visible with it. It's great.
So people, a lot of them tell me stories about how they were like in the hospital and they saw me living with this, and it gave them a sense of hope. Because I often tell people I volunteer every week, at the hospital here. And I do say to people I can't promise healing, but I can promise hope. And I have had an immense amount of privilege and luck to be sitting in this chair on a podcast, and you'd never know what I went through if you saw me just on the street.
No, you look incredibly healthy.
Thank you.
You look more healthy than a lot of people that have perfect health.
Thank you. It took a lot of work to get there. But, and again, I do think that there's a level of also you can live with chronic illness and be healthy. I think that there is this bias against chronic illness sufferers. And I see it now with RFK Jr., this sort of needing to eradicate chronic illness. And what I would say to that is, yes, it's a yes and situation, because a lot of people have a chronic illness because they're not dead where they would have been potentially otherwise. And so sometimes someone has a chronic illness that is a success story. And it's a success story to me. It's a success story for my friends who have metastatic breast cancer, that they're able to live full lives even though they have this. And so I think that we have to acknowledge that, yes, there might be more people with chronic illness, but it's because they are alive.
This reframing is brilliant. You should have every platform everywhere.
Thank you.
I want you to reach everyone you possibly can, because that's an incredible reframing
because
of
I
chronic
think
illness.
People can absolutely live with disease. You can. It's not easy.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it is. But I do not think that you get this disease and then it just means that everything is just done.
Or your life is diminished.
Right.
You can
or
still
you're less.
live a normal life.
Yeah.
Or you're less.
I'm ambitious,
Yeah, you are.
And I don't think disease diminishes my ambitions. It maybe every 8 weeks I kind of have to go sit and get infused and feel crappy for a day, and but but I have goals and dreams, and nothing is in my way besides me and maybe like the fact that I need maybe 10,000 more followers on social media. but
We're gonna help you follow. We're gonna help you get it.
Everyone
Yeah.
listening.
Let's
Please
go.
follow
Yes,
me.
please tell us.
Taylor.
Tell us where we
please
can follow
me.
you.
I will follow you back.
Yeah.
I'm a Taylor Coffman maid. So Taylor like Swift, Coffman like Dustin Hoffman, but with a C. You can pretty much find me on most outlets. Just trying to make this world a better place and make everyone feel better being in it, because it's not easy to be here. But I do think ultimately, you know, we can make this the good place, you know? And I do think that there's so much beauty and love. And I'm so happy to be here. It's trying to spread a message. And I'm so lucky to see now she's 3. She's just like the best.
Oh.
And she's just thriving. And she's a miracle too. They didn't think, the pathologist thought that the baby didn't make it. They saw like all the I guess the support systems for her in my body were completely full of clots. And she survived.
Do you know how long
amazing.
in utero that was going on?
I have no idea.
Wow.
idea.
It's a miracle, baby.
Yeah, she is a miracle.
Wow.
So we're both miracles. Not to brag.
Yes, you
true.
are. And this
But-
would
But frankly, we all are. We all really are. I mean,
Yeah.
how the immense amount of tiny little things that have to align for us all to exist on this one planet in this giant universe, you know, like I think sometimes people look at the stars and feel small, but they shouldn't. Like, we are special.
We should feel lucky.
We should feel lucky
Yeah.
to be here.
This is an incredible message.
And just go out and try to, you know, do something good for the world, because it does make us feel better. And I think that gives me hope for humanity, actually.
Yeah.
The fact that like helping others gives us the same high as like, I feel like it was like heroin or cocaine. Like it's a it hits a similar spot in your brain. And the fact that like doing good feels good, as long as you're not a sociopath, it does make us feel good. And I think that that's a path we need to follow and just do more of that. You know?
And conversely, more individualism leads to more loneliness.
Yes.
And more isolation.
We're all in
Yeah.
this together.
Yeah, we are.
And the more we can really feel that and understand that and internalize that,
Yes.
we can maybe make it more of the good place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this idea. This, especially just talking about all this in 2025 and everything the world is going through and everything, just all of it, our country and the moment we're in. This was personally for me an especially touching interview and message to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
Yeah.
say that
very
for me.
appreciative.
Well-
It made me feel less alone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you're
Well, I'm very
achieving
hopeful.
what you set out to do. Give
I'm a
people
hopeful
hope.
person, you know?
Yeah.
And I think being like hopeful is different than being an optimist. Optimist is just like everything's gonna be fine. I like fight for hope. Hope is my religion, you know? I walk in hope. And I just, you know, I will walk in hope until I can't walk anymore. You know, that's how it's gonna be. So
I love beautiful. I love that.
Aw, thank you so
Gonna
much for
make
having
me
me.
tear up too. I don't normally tear. This has been so wonderful. We feel so grateful and really blessed to have you on this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And I cannot wait to read your book.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Please let us know when it comes
I
out.
will. I will.
Having heard this story, it makes me really excited to hear about what you're working on now. So now that this chapter of your life is behind you, even though you're obviously living it day to day, like what are you working on now that excites you as a creative?
Yeah, I have my Substack. So as I mentioned, Rare Disease Girl, come say hi. So that's always where I'm gonna be talking about like what even I'm just curious about right now. I mean, I think a lot of it are maybe even more tactical, like advocating on a national level with politics, actually. So you often find me writing like, here's a letter you can use, here's a template you can use to advocate for this or that, you know, when I for care access or
Amazing.
you know, whatever legislation that's coming, or whatever I get frustrated about when something's getting cut. But advocating on that level is really important to me. I think, you know, I read a study recently. It's actually not a recent study, but I read it recently. It was a Yale study that, Medicare for All would save us about $340 billion and save 68,000 lives.
Whoa.
So
Medicare for all.
Yeah. So I think I think that we need to take a zoom back and realize that the systems we have here in place are kind of Band-Aids. They haven't even really, maybe they're not even around 100 years, these sort of modern insurance systems. And insurance is supposed to be for a rainy day. And as I mentioned before, like, we're all going to be patients. Like, medical insurance will eventually be needed by each of us. And that care is excessively expensive here in the States, more than most other countries.
Yep.
And when our care is so expensive, but our outcomes are so poor, that is an issue for me. And
Yes.
I would like
100%.
legislators to take a really honest look at the realities here and do more regulation to help us get a system that's more equitable and also just like more affordable, because there's a path to that. Some people may not like it, mostly CEOs of insurance companies, but I think we have to think more creatively about the system in place, and it just does not serve us all.
Absolutely.
Thinking more creatively about our systems.
That's right.
Yep.
And I think also, I'm, have the book. Right now it's tentative unless some publisher wants to change the title, which I'm totally open to. We can brainstorm, but it's called Dying to Live: Adventures of Rare Disease Girl. And I also have like a couple more books in me. I have another one that's kind of swimming right now in my head, dealing with life as a chronic disease patient. So I wouldn't be surprised if I start writing that real soon. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things I look around and I want to try to, I wish I could just clone myself, because basically I'm a kind of girl that needs a nap now when the sun starts setting at 4. It's winter
I know,
time.
right?
I only have so much energy, but there's a lot I'm working toward right now, and I'm grateful that I can still be here to do it.
And you've made such an impact.
Yes.
Even in this conversation, you have changed the way that I look at the world.
Oh my God.
So
thank you
for that.
Thank you.
It's been impressive.
For me, one of the things I'm going to walk away from after this interview is this feeling of effervescent hope. I feel like you're such a hopeful person. There's an aura to you about it. And I personally want to be more like that. And I think the world would be a better place if we could cling to that feeling more.
Agreed.
Hope is not a passive thing. I think that there is an absolute bond between empowerment and hope. You have to have hope to be empowered to ask for what you need. So hopefully, if anyone's out there right now, feeling a little hopeless, to just know that, like, by using that internal voice that's in you, to use it and speak up, because sometimes you have to speak up before you realize it works. And
That's
I
a
think
great point.
that happened to me. It's like, this, by speaking and saying what I feel in a way that's always somewhat charming, and polite. I could see my impact and positive impact. So just know that, if you're feeling those levels of frustration out there, that, you have power in a situation, and power to reframe it, a power to activate it, and a power to put yourself on a path that's different from the one you're on.
I love that. Let's all go out empowered.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone out there watching and listening. Thank you so much for joining us for our, I don't even know how to describe this incredible conversation that we've had. Thank you.
I know. I feel like we all need to go get like martini now or something. It's been heavy.
Sure. Something. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
Let's go watch some HBO.
Get some pizza.
Yeah, I love that. On the couch with some pizza. Yes. Wonderful. Well, you've told us where to find you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today, everyone. Hope we'll see you on the next one. Anything else? Anybody have anything else you want to leave with?
That's it.
No.
Thank you all.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.